in that time frame is that I was attending a lot of appointments, and I was seeing a lot of houses in neighborhoods that also looked similar and that were distressed. And it never dawned on me until I started watching videos about wholesaling on YouTube, and they kept promoting companies called Deal Machine. And what's the other one, Chad?
So in the last 12 months, Propstream has updated they have a mobile. It's different. So you have Propstream desktop and Propstream mobile. And on Propstream mobile, they have the driving mode, which I really like.
Yeah, and they're both similar and they're both easy to use. I just paid the money for Deal Machine, so I kept using it. And all it does is you're able to capture the addresses when you're out on appointments. Originally, you just capture one or two houses while you're out, but so my list has ballooned to my distress list has ballooned to about 5,000 addresses now on Deal Machine. So I'm not gonna. It's easy to switch from one to one. I could go try Propstream next month, but why do it? They're the same. So this is really, I wrote this out as a Deal Machine best practices, and so I'm just going to go through what would work if you use both of them. So let's see here. So for keep getting a call from my We Buy Houses sign. I'll turn that off. Sorry.
Texas is a one-party consent state. Let's hear you close it.
It's probably spam at this point. But everybody has my numbers apparently from either from jail or they owed money to somebody. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Thanks everyone for coming on. This is great. I wanted to start off and see if anybody had any questions that I could have a conversation with real quick, and I could go in, give me some energy towards this. Because I'm just see what kind of direction you guys want to take this in the next hour or so. Does anybody have any questions from the top?
Winston says, greetings from Orange County.
I'll put my link to my PDF. Anyways, so just back to that. So Deal Machine was just something by accident that we found that has actually been very beneficial, especially in the last, I've had Deal Machine almost a year, a little over a year now. I paid for it in April of 2021, and I believe it was about $1,000 then. Now it's around $1,300 for the year, which we've closed 8 deals on Deal Machine, and one of them ended up being a flip, and the rest were wholesales that we wholesale. And yes, Chad, I'm trying to get away from wholesales, but so Deal Machine has actually been very profitable for what it is, for being an extra list of houses that we use. And I say here, Deal Machine is not, it's not a race to just add houses. I hear people online, they want to add houses virtually. I want to add houses to my Deal Machine list or my distress list that look distressed. I want to add houses that if I call on them, there's going to be a 50-50 shot of me buying that house in the next 12 to 24 months. And it's a database add really to our CRM. These are the only leads, the distressed leads are the only ones I add to my CRM as a qualified or a pawn lead. And if you're with Sierra Interactive CRM, you'll know what I mean. But it's just like a bucket where I leave them in a qualified status or a pawn status, where if I don't have anybody else to call on, I'm going to pop in there and call 40 or 50 people on the distress list, which will take me probably an hour every day to do that. Or they're on a big mail list. So I'm not trying to just get on the internet and just, as you could see, here's Deal Machine, And this is the street I drove just the other day, and I added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses on this street. There's videos out there saying just go ahead and click all these houses and just add them to your list. That's not the reason I have it. The reason I have it is to have a true distressed property list. So I put on here in my PDF, which I'll share a link to everybody in the chat, so you could have it. And excuse me for my grammar. I just wrote it from my brain straight to paper. I haven't had anybody edit it. So I will.
And David, if you could also grab, I just dropped the link for a Propstream trial. If you could drop the Deal Machine link.
Okay,
Somebody had asked for that. And I want to go back before we move forward. I want to address a question that I saw. People are asking, what is Deal Machine? So the two tools that we're talking about are Propstream Mobile and Deal Machine. Each of them are basically real estate databases that are fed by big data. So basically all courthouse information, all mortgage lien information is laid into a single database. And the user interface that you're looking at here is just a really simple way. So they have functionality, whether mobile or desktop, where you can research houses. And what we're discussing here today is, rather than driving around town with a notebook, writing down the address, trying to figure out what the address is and writing it down, it's as simple as it will pin your coordinate. It'll pin your location, or it'll track your location. And so when you're sitting in front of a house, you can simply pull it up, and like Zillow, you can see the listing status and the tax map information. This is going to be the listing status if it's listed, the tax information, the mortgage information, the last transfer information, a lot more information.
Powerful.
Than you're used to seeing in real estate brokerage facing applications. This is mainly designed for real estate investors who tend to be more analytic and use, tighter filters on their marketing list. So that's kind of what we're talking about, is using technology to, make you more efficient and help build a hot list. And what David was saying is, don't just draw a polygon around the neighborhood with 1,000 houses. Otherwise, you're going to be spending wasting a lot of money on marketing. Where if you actually pay somebody, and I'm sure David will get into this, but imagine if you, give an Uber driver that login and say, hey man, every time you see a house in disrepair, just simply pull your phone up and hit the button, and every one I buy, I'll pay you X on. So you can actually delegate this work if you don't want to be the one actually driving every street in town. This is something that you can do at scale by delegating to people who are already out there driving every street in town. UPS drivers, postal workers, meat, door-to-door food salesmen, you name it. So,
yeah, and if you want to keep it on a micro scale, and I have a problem with scaling, because I have a problem with just having the time to build that out, or people just don't get the time frame it takes to buy a house. But regardless of that, it's I like to know what's on my list too. So the point of it being on the appointment and showing up to that neighborhood about an hour before and then staying after the appointment, you're going to collect probably 50 houses that you could prospect to as well. But the Uber idea is genius. The one thing that I've found is they do offer, well, when you're clicking on addresses and they have LLCs in them, or they're corporate owned, not the estates. Estates will show up as corporate owned too. The estates, you get a little excited about because they're probate, or they've been transferred already to an estate. But I do leave the LLCs and the corporate companies, the rental companies, off my list, because they're already owned by somebody that's renting or seller financing to somebody. Most likely, it's going to be a waste of a call or a mailer to them. Any ideas on that, Chad?
Sorry, I was moderating here. So I agree with you. Typically your best targets are going to be owner, non-corporately owned properties. And there's a lot of questions about what the apps are, guys, on YouTube. I just dropped the links to both Propstream and Deal Machine. And everybody on Zoom, you already have those. But especially with corporate landlording being so common these days in major MSAs, you're unlikely to use it in a normal environment. You're unlikely to do well with those. They tend to sell in large portfolios or sell direct to other investors. However, there is a shift happening right now. So I would encourage you, even you, David, to keep a close eye on where hedge funds are unloading inventory, because some of them are actually catching falling knives right now. And depending on how politicians react to a broadening wealth gap and what they do, if they put rent controls in place, or if macroeconomics puts downward pressure on rents, a lot of the hedge funds that bought houses at 4 and 5 caps, they've got, typically they bought them with cash or extremely low leverage, so they've got room. So there may be an opportunity in the next 24 to 36 months where I would change my advice and say you want to market directly to the corporate landlords, because they're liquidating assets to catch falling knives.
Interesting point. It's true. And to go over my goal now, that it started as a small thing I was talking about for the appointment while I'm on the appointment, but now we actually, I have one team member, but myself, we want to add 250 houses per week in our deal machine now, because we're sending about 2,500 letters to these distressed properties every quarter. I'm not beating them up every month, but my list is only a little under 5,000. I'm gonna get it to 12,000 because of the way the math works out. So every year we're gonna try to increase the list by 12,000. So eventually I'm gonna have 50,000 addresses in Fort Worth, which will probably be the best list for buying houses in Fort Worth, I would say, because we get the highest, because they're owned the longest, so the data seems to be the best, and people just answer the phone because they're in that age group. Most people that own a distressed property seem to be in that age group above 65 for some reason, and most of them seem to be over 70 in that age group, and they just love to talk on the phone. So our distress list works beautifully, as we call them. It's almost the best circle prospecting list. If you're familiar with circle prospecting, it's just finding an area and calling that neighborhood. But now we're picking out the distressed property in a certain neighborhood, which realtors, we don't think about that. We think about listings only or buyers only. And these people with distressed properties, if you are trying to build your wealth and an investment portfolio, you're gonna see this third leg in your business, and that is these distressed properties. And
Well, and that's something I'll touch on too. I mean, I think it might be as late as first quarter before we see this, but everybody wants to point to the strength of the weakness of the supply side and the strength of the demand side is inferred. But when real estate goes into correction, it's a lagging indicator to other economic indicators. So it typically happens after equities, after cryptocurrencies, after financial stocks, after tech stocks. So, we're not that affected right now, but take a look around the country. You see the price reductions ramping up. You see multiple price reductions on the same properties. You see days on market. You see inventory climbing. That's the leading indicator to a shifting marketplace. And there's this period that I call winter, where you have sellers who are still convinced their house is worth yesterday's price, and you have buyers who are waiting for tomorrow's price. And that purgatory in the middle tends to starve out people in both investment and brokerage. So the way I insulated myself against that, and I had really honestly some of my best years ever in real estate, were in those winter seasons where there was very low transaction volume. It was by doing things like this. So you go find the inventory that will appeal to, go find the buyers, find the people who are capitalized. There's always, every single piece of real estate is a deal at some price. So go find where the capital is, find out what they're waiting for, what a deal is to them, and then go shopping for them. And you can make the market move. You can actually backstop the market from the correction by creating volume and catching the falling knife for the overall marketplace. So I believe we're headed into one of those markets probably in the first quarter, beginning as soon as the first quarter of 23. And the best time to dig your well is before you're thirsty. So this is one of those things we can do as a contribution to try to prepare you guys for that. You can start to build this list, start to get familiar with these apps, and go find the inventory, regardless if your buyer is an end buyer or an investor. It's about, go out there and make the transactions, make your market move. Don't let it stall out.
Yeah, and it's the perfect thing to do if you're not attending appointments. I heard a good video this morning about how to schedule your day, and I've always been good with my time management, but I love how they brought it. I love how the guy broke it down to 4 quarters in the day. First quarter, prospecting. Second quarter, you're following up with people. Third quarter, you're negotiating your deals. And your last quarter, you're either on appointments or you're out there looking for more inventory to put on your list to prospect and get people into your pipeline. So I just love how that brought it down. So if you're not going on appointments and you find yourself not doing anything and you're finished with your day at 3 o'clock, jump in your car, go to one of the oldest parts of your city or zip code, find the oldest zip code and go wild with his app. Add 1,000 properties that are really distressed properties. And the numbers are the same with the 80-20 principle. And I put on here on my screen, one of the things I wanted to cover is that it's 80-24-25 is usually how I break it down. So I know my numbers are right. So if I add 12,000 properties to Deal Machine this year, or let's say each team member I have, y'all can read this, you have the link. It breaks down to just a little over, I believe it's 18 deals in a year. And it doesn't seem a whole lot after adding 12,000 houses and mailing all those houses. But when you take either you take the house as an investment opportunity or you sell it, there's a lot of margin in there for you to make some money if you have the right buyer client for it and you find the right deal as well. So should I break that down a little bit? Chad kind of breezed over it. You have 12,000 people, but 80,000 people are going to probably be good prospects over the next 5 to 10 years. 20% will probably be a good prospect. I don't like using the word lead until they are a lead, but prospect over the next probably 24 months. You have 4% of your people, so 480 of those 12,000 houses will be a good lead to stay in contact. I put 36 months, but it's probably it works out that 25% of the 4% is kind of confusing, but it works out that I wrote it real clear in here, but it works out to about 18 houses a year, 18 to 33 houses a year that you're going to come across that you could buy off this list, which.
So that you can boil that down. 1 to 2% of your list is going to be ready to do business at any given time.
Yeah. That's a better way of saying that.
That's something that, so for anyone who hasn't followed David Pannell and heard the interviews we've done together, he will stick with a list he's one of the few people who will actually continue to follow up for 36 months. And I've got, I have friends who I've watched start from never having done a deal to doing well over $3 million in revenue with a team of 4 people in 2 towns, and not big cities, just 2 towns. And Michael's sending 60,000 mail pieces a month. And the key to making $3 million in revenue in a market of only 100,000 people is his list management. So he focuses on building a proper list, which Dave is teaching you here, but also sticking with them for the long haul. Because to get somebody, if you're looking to buy properties at 60 cents on the dollar or under market value, regardless, it's not likely they're going to make that decision in month 1. Some houses, I mean, you've all seen this, they'll sit until they're in complete disrepair, and you drive by it for a decade wishing you could get that deal or somebody would answer your phone. But it's not until that one day where there was something that broke loose the repressed emotion, or something that just hurt it either, they wanted relief from the pain, or they finally had the mental strength to deal with it, and it breaks loose, and that day somebody's going to buy that house, because they will call everyone. So the name of the game, if you're going to do this type of prospecting, you better have reserves. Like, this is something that it's likely you could get an ROI inside of 30 days. Your cash conversion cycle could be a week on these types of campaigns. But I would rather you have what I believe is a more realistic expectation of, I have a budget to support a campaign like this over 12 months. Now, the beauty of this, the apps that we've talked about are around $99 a month, which, a friend of mine started Propstream. It's sold last year, but I was able to watch that company be built from the inside out. I know how, like, their data costs were well over $1 million a year just to have access to the data that they're providing you for $100 a month. That doesn't even include the millions of dollars of development fees, development costs it took to make it to make it so convenient on a cell phone. So it's hard to my point is in the grand scheme of marketing, for the amount of information you get and how useful that is and how much money it can save you on marketing, you can control your budget. So you can run a campaign like this for as little as a couple $100 a month, or you can be like my friend Michael that I referenced, and you can average $60,000 a month in marketing. That's how you get a $3 million result. But if you don't have to be a millionaire to start a campaign like this, you can start small and take David's advice. Be really picky about the homes you put on your list. That way you focus your marketing dollars and you have a higher return on advertising dollars.
Yeah, and when you're out there in those neighborhoods, the next topic I wanted to go over is even though you're in your car and it's comfortable and you got the radio going and you're adding properties, you want to get out and talk to your block captains. Ryan, one of my agents, actually said, let's call them block captains, because I used to call them the sheriff of the neighborhood. It's that Eeyore social butterfly. They have an Eeyore type personality on the outside, but they are truly a social butterfly. So in your disc personality, they don't really want to talk to you, but they want to talk to you. So you'll normally see these guys on their patio, on the driveway with the garage door open, sitting out there drinking a beer, or just hanging out, watching the neighborhood. And always make a point to find your block captains when you're doing Deal Machine and adding people, and go up there and talk to them. We actually offer them, it's crazy. I know it's going to be crazy, but we offer them $100 in cash with a letter saying if they find me a house, I'll pay them $2,500. So it's a big commitment. So I find 5 when I purposely go out to add 300 houses to my list now. I said once a week I try to add 250 addresses, 250 to 300. It takes about 7 hours. I'm looking for 5 block captains to give $100 to with a letter saying I'll give them additional $2,400 $100 bills if they find me a house. So you're going to fire up that neighborhood or that zip code that you're looking at for your block captains, which and I've met some really good people, and those people go into your CRM. So you're talking to them, you're going to get their email, you're going to put them on the same market updates for that neighborhood that you're going to call distress people. And we'll talk about the CRM in a minute, but your goal is not to always your goal is to get the appointment, to get the house, but let's build a database of people that are going to sell in the next 3 years through mail marketing, through phone prospecting, through block captains, so that you have a referral network that you probably wouldn't have had anywhere else. It's almost like an extra personal circle, or SOI, sphere of influence. Anything,
So Dave, before we move on, I want to share just some of the things that I tried early on that were effective. The homes that someone had asked the question earlier, I was kind of waiting to let questions accumulate. We'll jump to Q&A in a second, but one of the questions was, are you only looking for distressed property? I mean, or, dilapidated properties? And oftentimes those are the ones that have the highest level of motivation. What things that have worked that have been effective for me, especially in low income neighborhoods, you'll find door-to-door meat salesmen. So they actually drive a freezer truck around and try to sell steaks and, hamburgers and different things. These people cover lots and lots of ground. So they were on my list, and I didn't actually offer them a front end incentive like David is. He's really getting their attention with $100. What I did is I had a conversation, helped them understand what my business was, and I offered them $500 per closing. So at one time, I had door-to-door meat salesmen, taxi drivers, mail, like the mail carriers who traveled on foot and in trucks, UPS drivers, FedEx drivers, firefighters, police officers, anyone who I knew was covering wide areas of the city at any hour of the night and could tell me a house was vacant, or if there were ever lights on, or if the water was on, the water was off, electric utility employees. So I actually built a sphere of influence of people who are commonly out, in the neighborhoods at all hours of the night, and offered them $500 for each closing. And, that's for folks, if you're a door-to-door meat salesman, a $500 bonus is, that's equal to a week of commission, maybe on some weeks. So it gets their attention. You can choose the relative dollar amount that gets people excited in your market. But the idea is just like we teach in probate, build a team. Like you can take all the social credit and get all the deals, but build a team by adding value to them, like give them an opportunity to increase their income and in the course of doing what they normally do in a day. So those are some of the ones that have worked well for me. Uber wasn't really that big in 2011, 2012 when I was buying a lot of houses this way. But I just took independent taxi drivers. So if for anyone who's taking notes, it was, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, door-to-door salesmen, mail carriers, parcel carriers, UPS, FedEx, any of those, utility workers, public safety, so firefighter, EMS, police. All of those have been effective in getting referrals from them, and it's fun to see how excited they are when they bring it to you. And they will learn over time. I will say this: when you first build a referral network like this, they're going to think everyone they bring you is going to be a deal, and give them permission to follow up with you, and they'll follow up like, oh, listen, I've been sending them letters for 8 months. They're tagged to you in the database. And if you have the capability, you should put them into the CRM and assign them to that person. So like David said earlier, your block captains or your referral partners should be in the CRM with a designation of not a lead, but a referral partner or a captain. And then make sure that you have a way to connect, even if it's in a spreadsheet. If you keep a Google sheet of all of these, make sure that you track over time who came from whom, so you know who to pay. That way you'll keep the referrals coming.
And it's crazy when you can identify these block captains. You're looking for distressed property. Their house is usually in the best condition too. But they'll sit in front of the garage and keep an eye out on the neighborhood. It's really, the personality is really unique. You'll notice it when you notice it. And the next topic is estate homes. You're going to run into properties that have EST, or let's just say my counties are EST. I don't know how they label them everywhere else. I said not to add properties by, clicking like this. But what we do when we're targeting a zip code, Tarrant County in Fort Worth, and most of the 5 counties around there are very digital. I could go on my county website and type and search EST per city. So if I'm going through, if I search that, there's 11,000 properties, and I don't want to just go by and click them all and put them on my deal machine. It'll take forever, and it's a waste of time. But however, I do want to search by city and then search by age of that property. And I get kind of excited because that way I'll add those estate properties owned by the estate for, let's just say I'm working on River Oaks in my area. It's very easy to add 90 properties pretty quickly that have the state owned in the name on DealMachine. It's really neat. But if we see that, if we're driving around and we see a state, it's usually first name, last name, estate in the DealMachine, and it'll say corporate owned. We're going to immediately write one of these letters, invitation letters, and put it on the door. And then I kind of slide it in the mailbox, and I probably shouldn't, but or whatever. I shouldn't have said that. Kind of aggressive. And then I'm gonna skip trace that house in the vehicle and then start dialing about 10 numbers to see if I get a hold of the name or the family, just like I would on a probate call. I'm going to try to find which number works and who's responsible for that property, and then try to schedule an appointment or get them in my CRM.
So I want to interject there too, Dave. So something that I've found to be really effective is using yellow envelopes. The letters that you take with you, if you take a roll of shipping tape, like clear shipping tape, and use a bright colored envelope, like I found these yellow envelopes that tend to indicate more official. And I've even done like a whole 8.5 by 11. I forget, you call it like an A1 envelope or whatever. But you actually, a lot of properties in the markets I've worked have storm doors. And a really good way to get attention of the neighbors and whoever's, the heir of that estate home is to actually tape that on the inside of a storm door. So if you can get on the porch, and you can tape it on the outside, but it's, oftentimes weather, will beat those up. It's windy. But I use shipping tape because it's clear, it's easy to get off, but it's pretty strong. But tape your letter with a yellow envelope inside the home, and whoever the caretaker is, they'll be by there. They're coming by to get mail or check that the house is okay. Eventually, they'll see that. I've had good luck with that with estate properties with tax delinquencies that people just are completely closed down, won't answer the phone, won't come to the door. And I've actually taped tax delinquency, letters to people who are tax delinquent going to sale. And that's worked really well for me. So, you can drop it in the mailbox, drop it in, and, post it and mail it. But you can also post it as if maybe a city official or a utility had posted it, so it gets more attention.
Yep. But all this activity on DealMachine leads us to our list, like either certain. I'm trying to hit certain areas that are older in my neighborhood in Fort Worth, and one of those areas is at Forest Hill. And you can see I have a list of, if you open this, I won't open it, please, but it's almost nearly 500 houses now that we've added that we're starting to mail. I believe every quarter, 60 days. But it leads me to, once we're going to start making the phone calls to these people, we're going to start mailing these people, and eventually we'll run ads on Facebook or YouTube to them with videos, and they all lead to a good CRM. If you guys are operating with a cheaper CRM that is not going to remind you to follow up with them or keep some type of record, it's a good time to start considering something that's going to be worth your time to add. You have a data sheet, an Excel sheet, but then I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't have Sierra, just to promote a little bit, Sierra Interactive. Like I took today off, and you can see I have 2 today and 19 overdue. So I have 22 tasks that I didn't do today, and tomorrow it's going to double. So it gives you an idea. Kind of losing my train of thought, but you want to take all these people that you eventually talk to, or your block captains, you want to put them into something where you're going to start prospecting them. And then, like Chad said earlier, I just don't let people go. If they don't answer the phone the first time and I know the number works, I'm probably going to call them back in 30 minutes or the next day until I get a hold of them, until they tell me yes, no, or maybe. Even if they say no, it's probably a no now, and I'll call them again in 12 months. A maybe is probably going to be 90 days. A yes is probably going to be, let's close for the appointment and meet face to face, figure out if I can help you.
Yep. For anyone who, if you're, if you're on a tight budget, I have not used DealMachine myself very much because Propstream has been like my go-to before they were around. But Propstream made a big improvement last year on their list management tool, and it's an additional charge. But we're talking about, David has invested, I would say at this point, maybe hundreds of thousands in a custom CRM solution for himself. I don't know if that's right. Like with your monthly expenses, maybe.
Probably close to 16,000.
Okay, I thought it was more than that.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot of money to spend on a system online. But I could go a month without working now, and then step right back into my follow up.
Right,
and I don't miss a beat.
That's the cost of automation. Like alternatively, you can use like Propstream's list management tool for a few extra bucks a month. The technology is already there. Then you just need to use a little more discipline. Like you need to discipline yourself to create a habit of checking in. Like every Thursday at this time or every Wednesday at this time, I go here and I kick the ones off the list that have sold, and and then I prospect the hell out of the ones that still remain. Like you'll have to figure out your own workflow, but I will. I mean, if you have enough of a budget, and you don't have a CRM that has triggered follow up like prompts for you, not necessarily automation to prospect for you. The most important part of a CRM, if you want to be a 7-figure investor, the most important thing is that the CRM prompts you to do what you should be doing. Because there's no CRM out there that really will make you 7 figures with automated text messages and automated emails.
And you don't want one. I think the trend has gone from in 2005 to 2018. People wanted the CRM to text message people. It wanted those fake voicemails. But I've seen a trend the last 2 years. People have eliminated a lot of that mess, and now it's just about task management.
Yep.
If I could be reminded as a realtor to call 19 people today, and then I prospect for 90 minutes a day to add 2 to 3 people, it's just a constant flow of business. You can't beat it. So I'd rather have a CRM that reminds me to do a job than reminds them to use me.
Let me see. I want to ask. I mean, we've got a lot of questions in the chat box, but over on YouTube and in the comments and in Zoom in the chat, if we were able to provide basically a code for you where you could sign up for a typical CRM, but put in a code, basically get a plugin that we've designed like around these very specific campaign types. How many people feel like you have a need for that? Like where if you could pay $29 a month to have a real estate brokerage investor specific CRM that, might cost you $15,000 to $20,000 if you hired your own developer. It's something that it's certainly doable. We could take, just what we've done in the past and the CRMs we've used, turn that into basically a custom plugin and provide it to you guys. I've never done it because I wasn't sure how much of a market, but if you don't have experience with that, that can be overwhelming in itself, but there could be an easy button for that too.
That'd be wild. I mean, that's just, you can't not be successful if you just remind yourself what to do every day. And then, it's not, if you're not going to do it, don't schedule it for a Saturday. I don't schedule anything Friday, Saturday, Sunday now on my CRM because I know that I'll get behind. And really, I don't schedule things on Mondays. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when I do my heavy follow-up.
Yep. Well, I think it's clear. We've got yes, 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 hell yes. It's clear.
Yeah,
It would be nice if we had an easy button. So that's something that will, as the market shifts, guys. I mean, I'm really focused on getting as many timely courses out in the probate space, and then moving to prepare you guys to insulate yourself against the market turn. And that's one of those things that I had a really robust CRM that I built myself in 2012 that ran the brokerage, investment, and finance side of my real estate strategy. And I think I can just simply dust that off, get it back into an active CRM, and be able to just give you guys a license to it, so you don't have to do all that development work. But the idea would be to use a tool like Propstream or Deal Machine, build your list, export your list, import your list into the CRM, and then religiously prospect from that CRM and manage your list. David, we have, I don't know, 17 or 18,000 questions in the chat.
Let's go for it. I kind of just ramble on, so I need some direction. So ask me some questions. Perfect.
Okay. I'll start with Zoom since that's what's open first. Congrats on your weight loss, by the way.
Thanks.
So we've got the links that have been put out there a few times by Kat. Richard said, what price range? This is a good question that we didn't touch on. What price range are you targeting relative to the median price in the marketplace?
I'm sorry, my contractor just walked in. So ask me one more time. I'm so sorry.
Richard asked, what price range do you target relative to the median price in the market?
So our median price range is $350 in Fort Worth. I'm typically targeting houses I could buy around 120 and sell around 120, 150. So I'm buying them for about 100, 110.
So Richard, I'm not sure what your strategy is. Like for me personally, my strategy was brokerage and investment. So my goal was to monetize every real estate conversation. So I went 50% higher than median, 50% lower than median. And that basically represented the bell curve in the middle of the inventory. And that's where I knew I could get into deals and I knew I could get out of deals, because that represented 80% of transaction volume in the marketplace. So pick your median, 50% above, 50% below. That's your rough list. Pete said, Dave, did you drive the street and add those properties, or were they identified by Deal Machine? You're actually doing your own driving right now, correct?
Correct. I'm doing all my own driving.
Ashley asked if this will be sent out. Yes. It's on YouTube Live. It'll live there evergreen, and we will actually circulate the recording as well. Renee asked, how is David working with his team member, having the person just log into Deal Machine? Details on this, as I already have a vendor driving.
Yeah, you just add them. The lower level Deal Machine lets you add 3 team members without upgrading. So you just add them as an extra seat in Deal Machine, and they have access to adding properties and calling and skip tracing. It's really neat.
Gio said, I understand this is primarily a direct mail and call list process. Is there any door knocking? Are there any door knocking activities incorporated?
The only ones I door knock are the ones that stay estate on them, because I just love probate houses. I know how to get them closed. So if I see estate owned, I'm gonna actually knock on the houses around the house and spend a little bit more time if I find a house like that while driving for dollars.
So Gio, I will tell you, like, if you're doing this not on a large scale, if you're just trying it out, if you're looking to do get a few first deals, absolutely. The letters that we talked about earlier, have a seat full of letters, take a letter in hand and walk up to the door and knock on it. The worst that can happen is they're not home. The best that can happen is they take your letter and they've got a way to get in touch with you. So I would encourage you to give it a shot. I've coached a lot of folks that have had a lot of success. And to my surprise, even in high net worth neighborhoods like San Jose, I've found door knocking to be people to be successful at it, because so few people are willing to do it.
And the mail too. People are going digital. So to send my goal when I'm out driving is to send 10 letters to houses that look really special to me, that may be a ready now type purchase, or that I think are a little bit hotter than other ones. So, just keeping that in mind. Yeah.
So Janie said, what's the process to prospect and or communicate with them? Is he looking to flip list or either one? So I think we've already covered that. So a combination of direct mail followed by skip tracing and phone prospecting. and follow up, follow up, follow up. And David is, a hybrid real estate professional. I think now he's leaning more towards, I'd like to buy the house. But
Yeah.
if the seller's if he determines the seller is better suited, it's a better suited as a listing than an acquisition, then he'll still take those.
Yeah. If they need help too, if I can't solve a problem for somebody, it's definitely going to help them make as much money as they can. And if I can't buy it for a certain price, I'm not trying to steal it from them. I'm going to show them comps no matter what. So I stay within my ethics, I guess, and the state's ethics of being a broker in real estate. I want to make sure that they know the market value, what I'm going to do to it, how much money it's going to take for me to remodel it. And you'll find in explaining that process in a listing appointment, combined with an opportunity to buy it as cash, you're gonna win more houses by explaining what you're gonna do and building that rapport with that person regardless anyways.
Yep. Dave Gwynn had asked, David, what is your 60-second video that you referenced?
60-second video. I don't know.
It was part of your call, leave a message, text, and then send a 60-second video.
Oh, it's just, hey, I'm Dave Pannell. I'm out in this neighborhood. Just something quick that comes to your mind about who you are, what you do, why are you leaving me a message? It's like a voicemail that you would leave someone's voicemail, so that I'm always going to leave a voicemail with somebody. And if you have a mobile phone number, just send a quick video to them. And it could be a pre-recorded. You can, if you want to just attach a pre-recorded video. Hey, I'm Dave Pannell. I'm out in the neighborhood. I'm looking to buy a house. If you know anybody that has a house that looks like it needs to be fixed, please give me a call back. And you may assume, or you may, I'm actually getting to the point where I'm asking for them to possibly, if they know of a house that is going to be sold, I'm not directly asking for their house that looks distressed. I don't know if it works yet or not, but I'm trying to get more leads by just, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, see if they know somebody selling, and if it says, oh, they have a light bulb moment, they have a house that needs to be sold too, let's sell it and let's buy it. Yep.
Okay, almost clear on the Zoom portal. Everybody on YouTube, thanks for your patience. I'll be over to you in just a second. So Pete had asked, what is in the letter you leave on the door? Essentially the same thing David just talked about in the video, just an introduction. Here's who I am. Here's the purpose for me stopping by. I've found it to be effective. Hi, my name is Chad Corbett. I'm looking to buy X number of homes in this zip code this month. If you know anyone who's interested in selling, an indirect approach, please give us a call. We'd love to have an opportunity to talk to your neighbors. And I've found that to be effective. They don't feel targeted. They don't feel singled out. It doesn't look like it was a targeted visit. So it's, I'm looking to buy 10 houses in 24018. If you know any neighbors that are thinking of selling, please hold on to this letter and give it to them. And that they're like, they may not know that they're the likely seller, but they don't feel like their privacy was invaded or you targeted them because they had an ugly house, and you're more likely to get a call back. So that's been the best letter for me to post is, who do you know that might be interested in selling? It looks like a general farming letter, and it looks like you came by, just to see if they knew anyone that wanted to sell. But naturally, we're trying to start that conversation with them. Next up, Jesse said, David, what counties do you work in Texas?
Preferably Tarrant County, because it's pretty big. We do like Denton County. Some of the rural, like Johnson and Wise and Parker, there seems to be a lot smarter people that have their trust and will set up. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like the more land people own, the more they are legally set up for their state. When they own just a house on a lot, they don't seem to handle their states as well.
Yeah.
So they end up on our list like a probate would.
Okay, couple of CRM questions to me. So Evan said, what CRM do you recommend besides the one David recommends? Perfect for probate leads, whether or not you know if they have a property involved. And then Roger asked, very similar. So for me, I actually built my machine out of Zoho. CRM was the first iteration of an investor brokerage lender platform. There was nothing that I could find on the marketplace that met the unique needs of my business. So I built on Zoho CRM, which allowed me, it was a very low monthly cost. And I was able to basically make it do anything I wanted. But in managing $1 billion worth of closings in 2008, I had built my first platform on Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So I had that skill set. If you have to pay a developer to do what I did in Zoho, you'll probably have $70,000 to $80,000 to make a CRM do that. However, what I would recommend is Podio, Podio. Podio was bought by Citrix, but the really neat thing about Podio is you can sign up for free and have access. I can then give you a license key for my version of it. So you can actually literally in seconds, you can have what would cost, $75,000, $80,000 in development fees. You can actually just take the Chad version. And my version was set up to run. So I'm a private money lender, a real estate investor, and a brokerage. I had a real estate team. So we were doing creative financing, short sales, acquisitions, wholesales, sub twos, private money to investors, short-term and long-term notes. And I needed a CRM that would stand up to all those. So the possibility here is that I will actually take my old CRM files, put that into the new version of Podio, and we can license that to you guys. As far as out of the box, like a CRM that will stand up to, all of this, it's really tough. I have friends that have built on Salesforce. To get Salesforce to run at this level, I'd say they're certainly in it for six figures, with the monthly license cost for each team member, the dev cost, and all the integrations. To get Salesforce to sing like this, you'll probably be into it for over $100,000. Dave Gwynn, I'm curious because for those of you that don't know Dave, he's an investor in multiple markets. And he invests, 2,000 miles from home. So I'm curious what your advice on an investor CRM. What have you found to be best for your business?
Yeah, I've been using FreedomSoft.
Yeah, that's
it's pretty good. It's geared towards investor. It's got the private monies as well, and it's got the calling and texting built in. It's got an email broadcast as well.
Forgot about those. So you've got FreedomSoft and RealFlow, RealFlow, RealFlow. Those are two that are investor specific, but I think they even did eventually put in brokerage, kind of brokerage parts too, if you're going to list it as well. There's a limitless supply of CRMs out there, guys. It's hard to, without knowing exactly what your needs are, it's hard to even suggest one. But how much is FreedomSoft per month now, Dave?
I think it's anywhere from $197 a month up to $300 or $400, I think, depending on how much you need it to do. And that comes with a certain number of leads that you can search through the public database and across the country, really.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump over to YouTube, our patient crowd over there. Sorry, guys. I've been trying to field questions one at a time here. So.
Yeah. Why he's doing that is just these people are just unknown of their situation. And most of them are just unknown if they ever want to sell a property. So just leaving anything on the door or mailing them something in the mail, let them know that you are available to buy a house is, I think it's incredible. And we're going to see a lot of movement this year off our list than we did last year.
So Vince said, what does this service referencing Deal Machine and Propstream provide in terms of info, foreclosures, probate, tax sales, etc.? Basically everything but probate. So big data, for whatever reason, has overlooked probate in courthouses. They gather just about everything else. So they gather lien information, tax information, deed information, and the data that's being fed into the back of these, it's taking public data, as like it's taking courthouse data as well as other ancillary data, and they use match and append algorithms to help you, to make that query tool that seems so simple to you. There's a ton of data science in the background. So it's essentially every available data point in the real estate space, both public and private. So you'll be able to target based on is it vacant or not, was there a death or not, is it an absentee owner, a corporate owner, a trust owner, square footage, number of bedrooms, number of baths, like is there financing on it or not, what type of financing is it, what type of loan. So there's all kinds of query query variables in each of the tools. El Martinez said, what are the fees involved in the follow-up process within the app? How much did you say Deal Machine was now, Dave?
About $1,400 a year. And then the skip trace, it's 15 cents per contact. So if you're 12,000 times 15 is the cost for the year if you're going to add 12,000 houses. Yep. So another 1,000, or how much would that be? $2,400 something.
Yep. So, and then Propstream is, I think, $99 a month. The link, you guys can get a 7-day trial of it. I know, but it's $99 a month. I think the list management is an additional charge, and then they have a skip trace charge, and you can send letters direct. I think for as little letters and postcards, about as cheaply as you can get them anywhere. So, you guys can sign up for the trial and see the real time pricing in there.
And the cost that we have, that I've hired my mom to do letters for me. So she charges me 10 cents per letter that we send. And she does about 600 letters a week. So do the math on that, plus the stamps and plus the envelope. So we're looking probably 79 cents per letter going out to these distressed properties every quarter, of about 3,000 to 4,000 a month. So that's after skip tracing them and adding to the database.
Okay. Mark had said, so find the buyers first, Chad. That was back to my advice of in a changing marketplace, follow the money. And so my strategy, and it's paid off well in my career, is to really connect yourself with the capital. Sometimes that's conventional or first-time home buyers. Sometimes that's vacation buyers. Sometimes it's real estate investors who have been waiting and selling assets to gain liquidity for market conditions just like these. So what I was referencing is, get out in the neighborhood and go to your REI meeting, go to, talk to the community bank lenders that are starving to death because they're not writing any loans because their top borrowers aren't actually finding the inventory. Go connect, buy coffee, buy lunch, buy beers, but go find who has money, who has liquidity right now. And the worse it gets, the more important this is. But if you find the money and you understand exactly what their strategy is, how they underwrite deals, what the deal means to them, then you've got your orders. You just need to go connect the dots and find the property that fits them. So that's always been my strategy, is connect with capital and then go find the assets for the capital. Most people do that in reverse. I think my result was the one I was looking for. So I've always, in a changing market, in a distressed market, I start with the capital and then I go find the assets. It's not to say that you can't just get any old house, as a deal and not find a buyer for it. I just find that's the least resistance, and you can really, really focus your marketing dollars. For example, if I buy somebody lunch and they say, I won't buy anything under 3 bedrooms and I only buy in this school zone, and I'm looking for, around that median, like below median price. Well, that's a landlord. And I can go into one of these apps. I can be driving a neighborhood in that school system and marking houses that, I can look at the app and be like, oh, that's a 2-bedroom. I'm not going to mark that one, but this one's a 3 and that one's a 4. You can mark those. So it's more about targeting your marketing dollars. So you're not, you can sell that deal if you get it. So you could do targeted driving campaigns. For example, instead of driving a whole neighborhood to build a list of 500, you might drive, or excuse me, the whole city to build a list of 5,000. You might just target one school zone, trying to get 500 houses, knowing that you can buy one of those in that school zone. So it's literally you're driving for that specific buyer. Lots of hell yeses to a specific CRM. So Vince had recommended Agile. Oh no, he said Agile CRM is too complicated for old brains.
And we don't need to make a CRM very complicated. We just need to remind ourselves what to do on a daily basis. That's it. And keep it under 30 tasks a day.
So Eric says he's got 3,400 leads between Profitdrive and Batchdriven. Is it worth converting over to DealMachine? Have you used either of those tools?
You're still going to put them on an Excel sheet and put them into a CRM or a dialer. So I would say no.
Yeah, I would say I haven't used either of those tools, Eric, but I would second that. L said skip tracing is $15 per lead. No, it's actually 15 cents per lead.
Yeah.
And
then we actually double skip trace people so we can find family members, especially for the estate houses. So we're going to Skip Matrix. It's a great company and it's 14 cents, I believe. Depending on the bulk amount you send. So if you're doing, I think it's 500 is 14 cents or 20 cents at a couple hundred or something like that. I can't remember. I let Liz take care of that.
All right. Well, guys, we are past the top of the hour. I am 5 minutes late for another mastermind. Kat, if you could do me a favor, drop the DealMachine link, the Propstream link, and the PDF, David's PDF link one more time. That way we've got it in the beginning and the end of the recording. Want to thank you guys all for being here. If it's not apparent, we didn't spend a whole lot of time organizing this. We just wanted to try to, David really was eager to share what he's doing and what's working well. Dave, before we wrap up, tell them how they can connect with you.
Just look at it's pivot-agent.com. It is a course on, I'm trying to explain everything I do for the cash side of the business, from either wholesaling or seller finance, or just getting listings that are distressed. So if you're interested in that and building wealth outside of just buyers and listings, get a hold of me there, or just message me on Facebook if you would, and I'll send you the link.
Yep. I'll take one last question I saw come in from Richard. Richard said, Chad, would you ever advance money to a homeowner that needed money for repairs in exchange for a straight option to buy the house at a future date with the option recorded or possibly secured by a mortgage or deed of trust? So Richard, the way I handle those, if I'm going to take a capital risk on an asset that I don't own, what I recommend is get an independent appraiser, or come to a valuation together that you agree on. But I would use a third party. So you can hire a broker to do a BPO, or you can hire an appraiser. But what I would recommend is use a third party to come to a valuation. And that valuation becomes the basis of the basis of their ownership in a new LLC or a trust. So for example, if it was $100,000, and you would give them $100,000, like you would, say, all right, we believe the ARV will be this, and go ahead and discount it some. But on the operating agreement or the trust agreement that you're going to roll the asset into, that's the number of shares they hold. Now, if it's an LLC, then they need to be a general partner, a limited partner, not a general partner. And if it's a trust, they can be a beneficiary, but your attorney or your company needs to be the trustee, because if you're going to invest your capital in an asset that you don't wholly own, you need to be able to control sale in case something shifts, somebody dies, somebody changes their mind. Cousin Joe wants to move in, so he just moves in and takes adverse possession. So think about the risk there. But I don't lend the money to people who have let a house slip into disrepair. I mean, if I'm lending them money, it's in a first position lien. And if they go sideways, then I will take the house as the lender. If they're unwilling to do that, I'll partner with them, establish a basis value, and we'll split the profit 50-50. Now my brokerage commission comes out above the profit line. Like that's part of the expenses. So what's left over after closing cost commissions, some of which go to me, that net profit, they get 50% of the net profit and my company gets 50% of the net profit. So that's a safer way to do it. I don't believe that advancing cash for construction and just having a recorded option, I don't think that's enough protection for you, because they could just say, okay, we're never selling. You made our place beautiful. And if it's so anyway, that's how I recommend doing it. Roll it into a land trust with your attorney or your company as a trustee, or roll it into a fresh LLC with a very tight operating agreement that gives you the right to control the sale of the asset.
That's beautiful.
All right. It looks like we're clear on the Zoom chat. Take one last look over here, and we've got lots of comments on YouTube, but no questions. All right, guys, I'm going to run to my next call. David, thanks so much for being a constant contributor to our communities. Everybody else, thanks for being here. Hope you got some value from it. Everybody have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.